No matter how big or small, communication is key. But what is communication? It is an interaction between two or more people through visual, audio, and tactile motion. This happens when the sender has a reaction towards the receiver ponder on the reaction and then respond. But how do we develop these skills? According to a pre-primary school teacher, Ms. Karen Dreyer, these skills are developed as follows: through association with action and object. For example, a match represents something that burns or ignites, as well as shape, color, and texture. For example, a balloon is round, white, and smooth. By introducing these associations, certain brain paths is shaped, making associations between abstract and non-abstract items, eliminating what is not relevant for a specific scenario for deeper focus. Abstract thinking to motivate and grow creative concept thinking. These brain paths are key elements for communication in a larger group as well as communication with the inner self.
Guess the Code. Guess the Code is a code-breaking board game, better known as Mastermind. The aim of the game is to break a code. One player creates a code using the given colored pegs. The second player has to guess that code through a process of trial and error. The player who created the code has to guide his or her opponent to victory using the provided pins and without exchanging a word. The player that has to solve the code can be crowned as the winner once the puzzle has been solved.
Cluedo is a board game where 3 to 6 players try to figure out the 3 main facts of a murder: the murderer, the location of the murder, and the murder weapon. They do this by having their characters run around a mansion to gather evidence and eliminate options to achieve the goal of solving the mystery. What we took out of this game was to gather elements to help us solve a problem with the help of elimination.
Is a South African fast-paced general knowledge game. 30 Seconds is a game with the objective to place emphasis on communication skills as well as general knowledge. Its challenges lie in verbal communication without the direct use of a word or concept, challenging individuals on an intellectual level to be creative but critical and strategic to overcome verbal barriers in a limited period of time. This enables better communication and overcoming verbal barriers between people.
In conclusion, Guess the Code dealt with abstract thinking, Cluedo dealt with the elimination of non-important things, and 30 Seconds dealt with making associations. From these precedents and the background done on skill development in communication, our game developed.
The game was developed to promote abstract thinking and association between elements in one object. Also, to overcome the language barrier between people and oneself, to debate about the outcomes and answers among group members, and promote group communication, as well as explaining in a way where a general association is shared among the players. Self-communication is developed in this game, where the player explaining the object have to debate within him or herself whether the association made is relevant to the group. The game activates both the left and the right part of the brain through analytical as well as abstract thinking. The more the game is played amongst a group, the better the outcomes in terms of explanation and understanding. This means that a brain path is formed. The brain path that is formed is beneficial to a person in terms of community and self-engagement.
So what I learned from this game is that we had to be immediately resourceful with the items within our surroundings as we're limited by them. And then also another thing is in terms of communication. So it's a really good tool for communication because first of all we allow the object to be that form of communication. So then there's no language barriers that can be a hindrance to this game, as well as it also forces us to look at the object that we might be used to as being like a cell phone, for example, as perhaps rather looking at its shape, perhaps just looking at its material for its just its purpose. So it makes us quite resourceful in terms of what's given to us.
So what was the biggest challenge for you with the game? I think understanding the instructions, they were all very clear, but it's kind of putting the different pieces of the instruction together. But it was really worth it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, and what did you benefit from the game? How did you benefit anything from the game?
I think looking at an object, like Shab said, looking at an object and seeing the texture but not having to associate it with that object, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of a challenge because you see a phone and you're looking at the phone, but you actually have to be looking at the texture or the color or the shape, which it really engages a different part of your thinking.
The aim for the game was to develop communication skills between people as well as yourself without a language barrier. This is achieved through associations between objects to explain a specific object. The brain paths formed enhances the skill of communication with oneself and a group. This is a key aspect for communal development. Out of the box consists out of 5 elements. 1. A box which all items collected should fit in and also doubling up as the playing board. 2. The question cards, which the object that needs to be explained is on. 3. Emotion cards, which can also be used to explain the objects. 4. A dice and a dice box, which is used in combination to throw the dice. And then 5. The 30 seconds timer. The player's objective is then to throw the dice, and according to the number thrown, he or she needs to explain what is on the card. If the player throws a star, he or she can then choose what they would like on the card, and then hand the card to their teammate. After that, they need to turn around the 30 seconds timer and observe the objects that they've collected to source what they can use to explain the given object that they've chosen. So within the 30 seconds, the team also needs to guess correctly. If, however, they do guess wrong, they lose a player to the other team. If they guess right, they win a round and they are safe for the next round.
Diversity. It allows for communication between people without a language barrier.
I think it's an amazing opportunity to develop abstract thinking for youngsters as well as elders.
It makes you think outside the box.